Hey, this is Luke Marzec. You are listening to Verbal Shenanigans.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really. Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Hello, everybody. It is Scott and Mikey D coming out fresh out the gate for another installment of the Verbal Shenanigans podcast. Mikey D, how you doing there, buddy?
The D-man's just coming to you full force. He's ready to flare out that comedy tonight there, Scotty.
The D-man? You gave yourself a nickname because I put you on the spot last week, and now you've nicknamed the nickname. Now you've gone from Mikey D to the D-man.
Well, I mean... I just naturally assume once the nickname starts, it just pirouettes downhill and it just gets bigger and bigger anytime Michael Burlew's involved. So I got to get ahead of it so I can get my copyrights going for like all the t-shirts I got to sell.
Well, for those of you just tuning in, welcome. Hello to Australia. Apparently we are being broadcasted down under. Mike, give the listeners, Mikey D, give the little listeners a first intro, here from Mikey D and the boys.
Well, listen here, everybody in Australia. I know you're out there on that little island that you call a continent, a country, a barge, if you will. But let me tell you something. You got to be prepared for the amazement that is the Verbal Shenanigans podcast. I know your country is large and in charge, and it's been running for probably a couple years, something like that. But let me tell you, you are not prepared for what's coming to you right now, okay?
Why are you starting our intro by threatening the country and insulting them? You called their country a barge.
Well, I mean, they're a continent, they're a country. I assume they just call themselves everything, so we'll add barge to it.
So as we are now on this new Australian radio network, the first thing they hear from you is you threatening them and calling their country a barge.
I'm not threatening them. I'm just saying.
You said you're not ready for what's coming.
They're not, Scott. They're really not. No, I'm more of a nurturer. I'm like, okay, now I know you turned on the radio station. You're ready to go, but you gotta like if you can sit down, sit down, and all. If you got like a comfy pillow to put behind your back, you got to prepare yourselves because
you're changing
when
the tone
when this starts, like you're just going to get so blown away. I don't want you to throw out your backs, Australia.
See, your tone is changing a little bit. You went from a little aggressive to now you're being a little bit more caring. I see what you're doing here. You're evolving on the spot.
I'm multidimensional. I had to prepare them, so they got to know at a snap, I'm going to just change on them, and they had to prepare for this, Scott.
Yeah, so it should really be more of the tone of like, I'm sorry, like you really don't know what you're in for. Not you don't know what you're in for. Like no,
they don't.
No, like seriously, you
listen
don't.
Here, Australia. You have no idea. Do you hear me? See, that was nurturing.
Yeah, see that goes great with the fact that we revealed that you're a serial killer on our first episode.
I am not a serial killer.
The
don't
first
worry.
Episode that went out to our new Australian audience reviewed the facts of why you're a serial killer.
I mean, you put out some evidence out there, but I do not believe the jury would convict me in those scenarios, right?
I mean, but what is really amazing, you would think, 500 episodes in, we've covered just about everything about you and about me over time. Sometimes we try to play games with like stories that we've never told, and we're like, oh, this is kind of tough. I feel like I've told everything. Mike, we have discovered that I feel like in some ways we're only scratching the surface with you all these years later. Last week, you just blurted out in the middle of a conversation we're having about a bird in my house. And I was talking about how I'm kind of afraid of animals running towards me and things like that. And you're like, wow, I had a pet squirrel. Then you're talking about how you almost took your finger off in a door. The week before, you were telling listeners that your family had a screen door that had a Jesus stain on it.
Correct.
I feel like your new nickname from me is Michael the White Trash Onion. You are a man who is just layers, and each layer comes with something, that you could see done in a trailer park or in a very rural area.
Well, I just want to confirm to you that I'm actually White Treasure Onion, because I am just a gift that keeps on giving no matter how many layers you go down.
So you're the white treasure now, is how you refer to yourself.
Yeah, the WTO will be the White Treasure Onion.
But yeah, we got some interesting reactions from Skippy the Squirrel, as you said, which is truly amazing. Like, were you holding on to that one, or was that buried deep in your psyche somewhere and something just brought it out?
It just popped up. You said, the white thought is a squirrel, and then the back of my brain is like, hey, Burlu, you got a file called Squirrel Pet here. Why don't you open it up? And I'm like, okay. And I was blown away by your reaction. Like, you were literally floored when I brought it up. Like, how on earth did I not know about that?
Exactly. It wasn't floored that you would have a pet squirrel, because, like, that totally makes sense that you would have a pet squirrel.
I do look like a squirrel owner. I will agree with you.
It was more flooring that it just never came up in conversation. We've talked about animals thousands of times. We've talked about you working as a vet tech back in the day 1,000 times.
True.
Not once do you bring up, I had a pet rodent that I fed by hand in my backyard.
He was a cute little squirrel, and he liked his nuts, and I was 6 years old, and we're talking about something from 4 decades ago. So sometimes the brain needs a little jostling to get some of the stuff out. Okay.
Yeah, white treasure needs a little time to marinate.
Yeah. You can't just open a treasure. You got to savor the white treasure onion.
Now, something that has come across the desk this week. And you can't even blame me on this one. You have to blame your lovely wife. Okay.
Yeah, I was surprised you gave out that nugget, but it's not something I wouldn't have brought up later on. But go ahead.
No, but it was interesting because I guess maybe your wife, either you guys had a conversation, or she read the newsletter, or something that
the side note is, I asked her, she said it. Now, apparently she doesn't get it. I thought it gave you her email address, but I forwarded to her. She looked up, she started bawling, laughing about it. And I reminded her, honey, we're in bed. It's not that funny what you are reading. I am your loving husband. I am not a serial killer, but continue with your point, Scott.
No, and she texted us in our little group chat, and she was like, "Oh my god," something like, haha, I'm like, something about him being a serial killer, and she added, she's like, "We didn't talk about the head that used to be on your table that I destroyed during your 40th
glass head from Pier 1."
Yeah, sure. Was that his name? Anyway.
It never had a name, but continue.
Pierre 1. Then she texts something along the lines of, I got so much dirt on him that you would love to know, or something like that. And all I said was like, I don't know, give me something. Like maybe that we didn't talk about. She drops a nuclear bomb on me right off the bat that I was just laughing the minute I said. All she had to do was say the one sentence, and I was like, it's on now.
Now, before you continue with informing the audience, and then I will have my rebuttal.
Sure.
When you read said text back, what was like the first reaction on top of your head? Is it like, typical Burlu? Was it, we just went to a new level? Were you like calling friends and pouring them this stuff?
No. In fact, my reaction was no surprise whatsoever. Just like, wow, here is another juicy tidbit that just adds to this. Because when she said it, it's like, I can see this 100%. What you did. So let's get into it here.
All right.
So I simply said, and I will read the evidence here. She said, dude, the dirt I have on him, but he'd have to kill me if I told you. She knows. She's still alive.
She's perfectly safe. I love her.
Nope. So I said, just please share. She said, nope, I want to live. See, she knows. I said, give me one good one for the show. So maybe he only slightly injures you. Did you break any fingers of hers?
No, I never broke a finger. I questioned her when she broke a finger.
I believe that's legal in Australia. Like if you disagree with your wife, you snap an arm or something like that.
Yeah, that could be true, and it makes sense on a barge.
So not even like anymore like, begging to get a story. She simply goes, okay, our new fridge may have Callie's voice because Callie turned into a fridge. Now, let me tell the audience, especially the new listeners, who Callie is. Okay. Yep. And before we even get to the fridge here. So Callie is Mike's dog who passed away a couple months ago. Probably about 2 months ago?
3 days before Christmas. Yep.
Oh, wow. It's been that long already. Jeez.
Yep.
So she passed away. Great dog. Mike loved her. And Mike, we broke down in a little bit in the last episode and many times over the years how Mike has these voices for his dogs. My dog, he had a voice for that I still can't quite look at him without doing. He's an imaginary friend. We've caught Mike in the mirror doing voices to himself. So it only made sense that, Mike had a voice for his dog. But now, Mike, your poor dog has been gone a little while now, and you have somehow decided to reincarnate your dog into a refrigerator.
Yeah, so give the backstory and all. As Scott said, Callie was the first dog I owned. Like growing up, I had dogs, but obviously they're my parents' dogs and all that. Callie was the first dog that was specifically mine. And so she was a sweet dog. She could get a little snarky because when we rescued her, she lived on the streets for a couple years. So she had a little of an attitude and she grew with us and she was very loving. She used to hate other dogs, but she was caring enough to allow me to get my other dogs, Lay and Vader. As she came along, she loved going to dog parks. So her whole life was like a full story. Loved the dog to death and all. So
much like you, when you started this cast, you had a little tood, and now you became the sassy little Patty LaBelle that we have before.
Yeah. Child, I'm back. Go back a couple episodes if you were wondering what that is. But I'll continue with the story. So, as Scott says, as I love my dog, I love to give like a personality to them and so forth. So I give them like a voice or whatever. And like, and anybody's like over the house, I'll just break it out and on. It kind of sticks, as Scott says. I think Obi was probably, well, obviously I knew Obi before Callie, so I had a voice for him. One of my favorite stories when he was in his house with his ex-wife and it was quiet and she just turned to him and goes, I can't look at Obi without hearing Burlu's voice. And apparently you screamed, I know! And it like really pissed you off. So I made a voice for Callie and I make this personality for her. And she's, hi, everybody. My name is Callie. That's the kind of genesis of the Callie voice. And I do certain personality traits that add to the Callie personality and all. Like I would make her mispronounce words, if you will, and all. Like the wife would. Oh wow,
that's a far-fetched thing. For
I knew you'd like that. Yeah, but it's like she would look, and we're looking at her. She's wagging her tail. Was it? You hungry? And it's like, yeah, I want fried. You mean food? I know what you're talking about. I want fried. And if we're like making like a sandwich or whatever, she'd say, "Give me some of that peanut butter." And I had a phrase with my wife and all. If she had the peanut butter, it'd be like, "Mommy, where's your mother? Peanut butter." So
now, would you be open to me putting surveillance cameras around the house and kind of recording like a Big Brother type thing, and then I'll take the footage and make something out of it?
As cute as that sounds, I do have an idea with like the stuff I made with my dogs. I'm thinking about writing something, so I've got some. You'll probably help me along the way, because you write along with me. But I have an idea, for what to do with this stuff. I'm given enough $1 million ideas. I'm not giving that one out just yet. No, but but I had the personalities. There's our neighbor Jill has this dog Bodie. And while Callie was still not in the liking other dogs phases, I remember her little kid joke talked about, did you get married, Bodie and Callie? And they did not get along. We tried to walk the two of them together. It did not work out. So I made a side of Callie where she's like, I can't stand that Bodie. He keeps trying to marry me, and it's just like a recurring thing where she's just like, hey, Bodie, you want to play? Let's go out in traffic. You go first, and stuff like that.
So there's a full on
personality
show going on in the Burlow house.
Like she would go out, she would always have the biggest grin coming back for going outside and doing her business and all. She'd come in with a big grin, wagging tail, and Izzy be like, what you do out there, Callie? And be like, I made a poop and stuff like that. And
so now that you guys have heard it, it makes sense, guys, why she's a refrigerator.
I'm getting to it. I know we're on a journey.
Okay.
Believe me, I'll land the plane. Don't worry.
All right. Hopefully right into the ocean. But okay.
Yeah, so, and the other thing, when she went to the dog park, like she loved going there, but she would just bark nonstop, as I told you. But like she would literally, if we were there for 3 hours, she would bark for 3 hours and all, just running beside dogs, barking. And also, I always had the character trait of where she's like, I need to read the rules. They don't understand. And like some dog would be running and she'd be like, hey, rule number 246.38 says you can't run that fast in the dog park.
Now, are you saying this out loud as other dogs?
Not in the dog park.
Okay, so this is
like me and my wife thing and all. Gotcha, I pretty much do. And all. It's a personality. It adds to like the dogs, and it just makes you love them.
Some person with their dog getting yelled at. Hey, you're not obeying the rules, and they're like,
hey, what the hell?
Who's this psychopath?
I get pulled over. No, I was going perfectly in the speed limit, officer. But anyway, so we fast forward. Very sad. Just for Christmas, she goes. As I've brought up in a couple episodes ago, had a really bad week where the refrigerator went, the hot water heater went. So it was like I had a very stressful week. What was that? Like a month ago?
Yeah,
something like that.
A couple episodes ago.
So as we're like looking at the fridge or whatever, and this is like weeks later, and like Izzy's like, that's a nice fridge and whatever, and she starts talking about like she misses Callie and whatever. And I just had the epiphany. I'm like, well, Callie left us. We got the fridge pretty recently after. So I make this story where it's like she tried to come back. She can't come back as a dog. So she wanted to be with the family. So the next best thing was she's the fridge. And I just play off of that. And all.
What an honor.
Yeah. So it's like the fridge is one of those, like you tap it and the light comes on. And she used to like it when you'd slap her belly. And so I'd be like, oh, yes. Slap my belly, Mom. Yeah, look in the fridge and all. And again,
so you're just slapping the refrigerator's belly in the house and going,
well, I'm not doing it for an hour. It's a story. I made a story of this, but I'm not doing this like 8 hours. I'm not taking a day off of work saying, listen, I got to talk to my fridge for the day or something.
I just picture you taking the fridge down to the dog park.
Hey, the fridge doesn't like it if you run. Like we kind of joke like that, and all. Like we'd be in bed, and the two dogs would be cuddling against us, and Izzy'd be like, "It's so nice having all the dogs here and all." And then I would just be like, "Well, if you made room for the fridge, I'd be in the bedroom in a minute." So it's just like all the side things. So she loved eating food. So every time Izzy would put food in it, I'd be like, oh, yes. So she even had a story where we had a restaurant. It was Cracker Barrel, and they had 2 extra biscuits. And Izzy's like, oh, I'm going to take them home to the dogs. You think I should give them tonight? I'm like, yeah, you should give them tonight. She's like, well, maybe it'll be fresher in the fridge, where I can tell she's almost thinking of Callie. And I'm like, yeah, Callie would like to have the biscuits in her belly before she shares with the kids and all that. And then also the ice maker, it makes those spherical ice balls and all, which are really nice. Yeah. I like it. And my wife likes it. I'm like, oh, we got Ice Cube Death Stars and all. So when I made the character Callie, again, going back to, she always had that big grin going to poop and all. So I just be, the
ice is not the poop.
That's my poop. But think about it. I was an angel. The angels are in the clouds. What comes from clouds? Water. I'm releasing water and making ice. Those are my poop balls.
So, Australia, I would just like to clear up. This is a man petting his fridge's belly, talking to his refrigerator, and pretending his fridge poops angelic poopy ice balls.
Oh, I almost forgot. So,
there's more. Of course, there's more.
There's one more. So we go back to, she loved reading the rules to other dogs. So you leave the fridge open, and after a minute, it goes ding, ding, ding. Like if Izzy leaves the door open, Mommy, you know the rules. The fridge door can't be open for that long. What the hell?
So you couldn't, I don't know. Some people honor their dogs with a little picture and a little shrine.
We got those.
So you got it. But in the best way, you honored her as a appliance.
Well, I mean, as weird as it sounds, as hurt as we were when we lost Callie, it is a cute little honor. Where it's just we keep her memory alive in the silliest way humanly possible. So it's what I do best.
I've been talking. I was talking to you the other day. I want to try to plan coming down, down to your hood. Is this just the icing on the cake when I step through the door of the house? So you're gonna be like, yeah, that's my oven. That's grandma. And I
toyed with the hot water heater being the cat that ran away, but I didn't go that far. So.
Am I just going to see a man?
She lived in the basement, so that would make sense too. If I did
of course. Maybe that soda machine behind you can be a friend that died. You used to know.
Oh, Ray just passed away. Give me a nice cold one, just like old times.
Am I going to step through the front door of the Burlew house and I'm just going to see a man spiraling out of control talking to appliances?
No, because I don't do it in front of people or have legitimate conversations, but it is a cute little way of honoring and missing Callie. So.
It is a way only you could come up with. I picture 10 years from now when that fridge goes, you getting real emotional about the fridge.
I can't do the show tonight. Burlew, it's 1,000, but Callie passed away. Second time.
My fridge
leaking dog poop.
And then it just spiraled. Then you'd have to reincarnate her into something else down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's an iron now. Oh God.
Yeah.
Mike, you are you're like the gift that keeps on giving.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm the white treasure onion.
No, the white trash onion has layers upon layers upon layers of it. And I feel, every time I have a feeling of what are we going to talk about tonight? Or what are we going to do? I feel like there's always some conversation or guest or topic that will just break a chip of the onion away and let it come to the surface. And we learn another piece of the Burlew saga.
Yeah. And for my Australians, I'm a white treasure blooming onion. The stories keep on popping
like the Outback. Outback. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. Well, our next guest, I don't even know how you segue out of talking to a refrigerator to bringing on a musician, but I'm going to try.
You're the host. Go for it.
Yeah. Our guest here, I was pretty excited to get him on. Interestingly enough, a couple weeks ago, I'm always trying to find new music on Spotify and whatnot. I'm, a big music guy. And this man by the name of he's almost like, I don't even know how old he is, young guy, Luke Marzec. One of his songs comes on the playlist. I'm like, I really dig this guy's song. It's got this kind of old soul to it. It's chill. It's good, like cooking music. I'm like, I really dig this guy. And I like had the one song on the playlist or whatever. Literally the next day, some of our friends from Raby Entertainment email us because they always tell us who's coming up, who's doing media. And I'm like, Luke Marzec, that name sounds relatively familiar. I'm like, oh, that's the guy I just started listening to yesterday. I would love to get this guy on. And I have this feeling, this gut feeling, if this guy continues, that we may be hearing Luke's name in bigger scenarios going down the line. He has a very interesting sound. We brought him on for an interview, and he only added to the allure to me. Luke was a very unique guy, a very eccentric guy. You tune into the end to hear a whole lot about a specific game that we did not think would be such a piece of the conversation. But without further ado, here is artist from the UK, Luke Marzec.
Hello there.
What's going on, Luke? How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, how you doing?
What's with you UK guys and your time changes and your mix up? It's just unbelievable, man.
Yeah. Do you guys not move forward at all during the year? 1 hour forward or back?
No, we do.
We do. It's at different times than Europe and all. Doing IT work, I had to deal with this a lot. So yeah. But as an American, I just demand you always know what time it is in our country. So
I was thinking the same as a Brit, but you guys are on top these days. So
we had this one guy from Australia. He was a shark attack survivor. And we tried to interview him like 4 times, and he could not get the Eastern time zone thing right. And eventually he was just so mad at us. And I'm like, I've been here at the time that we've sent to you each time, but we never got to interview the shark attack survivor. So
and it turns out Australia has
a shark story. So Luke, thanks for giving us a few minutes here. It's funny. One of your songs was on one of my Spotify playlists, and then like the next day, I get something from Raby, and it was like, oh, Luke's putting out this album and whatnot, and I'm like, wait a minute, I said, I think I just added this song to my playlist, like,
no way.
Just it was a very, very strange occurrence, like within a day, and I was excited to cover, talk to you for a few minutes because I really dig the sound you have. So I think the first question I have for you is, you kind of have this old soul kind of voice to you, and it in your music, whether it's the horns, whether it's the raspiness of your voice. I'm curious, like growing up, what was the soundtrack for you? Were you into like soul music or R&B or something? Because there's something there that I'm trying to figure out your influences.
Yeah, well, on that side of things, it was. I was into a lot of jazz growing up because I started studying jazz saxophone at like 12 or something. And even before that, I was really into like Ray Charles and Nina Simone and stuff. And then for a lot of my teens, like a lot of the company I kept were really into jazz. So, a lot of Miles and Coltrane, a lot of American mid 20th century music. I loved Louis Armstrong always, and even like some British artists like Freddie Mercury and Elton John. I think they've kind of got some of that in their voices as well. I mean, when it comes to the voices, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I said there's the voices and the horns because I listen to lots of instrumental jazz and lots of. Have we started this interview?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
No, we're throwing this out. No, we're still ticked off about the time zone thing. So.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of Chet Baker. I listen to a lot of Chet Baker. He's soft. He's got a soft voice, but. Yeah, I don't know what it is. There are people this day and age who still have a lot of soul, but
For sure.
I think it's like back in the old days, you could get really well-made shoes, and and there was just a whole other mastery to not only the musicianship, but maybe to the soulfulness of living. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm always really attracted to it. It's most of my playlist is quite old music.
I can tell.
Yeah. You got a really laid back kind of vibe to you, and all. It's kind of fun how like you talk about, I make songs about the community and good things and all that. I'm just curious and all, is there like an anxious side to Luke that we're not seeing and all? Are we going to get like a death metal kind of song down the road or something like that? Or are you just naturally this laid back?
Yeah, I'm a pretty laid back guy. Yeah, that's true. I mean, the most it gets is maybe angst about love and stuff, or heartbreak. But I mean, I do love a bit of punk music and that, so I would love to, and like rock and roll and some more. I don't know if I could do heavy metal at all. Nah, I could give it a go. I've got the voice for it, I reckon.
That's not part B of the album. That's not the middle. Really screw with people there. So you grew up like immersed in music. Like, I'm curious, were you a piano player first? Were you a horn player first? What was the first thing you picked up?
The first thing was the violin. Actually, okay. I think I was 7. I think I wanted to play guitar first, and I went to like some open day at some local music centre, and for some reason they were like, the guitar's too big for you, try the violin, as if that was like a suitable alternative. But I really warmed to it, and the violin's a really good thing to start on because there's no fretboard or anything, or piano. You just have to use your ear to stay in tune. So it's like, I think I learned a lot just from that and getting a good ear at an early age. And then it was saxophone. And then I got a place at the Royal College of Music in London, which is like a Victorian age music school in central London in Kensington. And there, as part of their curriculum, you had to learn piano. But I'd already started learning piano. I think when I was like 12 or 13, had like some Robbie Williams songbooks and Coldplay.
Yeah.
Coldplay were and are amazing. The first couple of albums. I don't know if you know them.
a little band named Coldplay. Yeah.
No, the Parachutes album is amazing. I got that for my 11th birthday from a friend, and I still listen to that. So yeah, I started piano on those songbooks, and then when I got a bit better at music, I would just work out the songs that I liked, and I never did my piano homework, and I just practiced, just played the songs that I like to play. And then all the other instruments came later. Like, I lived in my early adulthood when I was 18, 19, I was living with some guitarists. So you just pick the other things up as they come later.
Sure.
Tell us about the headroom that you the that you do.
Headroom, super cool. So I know. So the first guy that got me into like live electronic jazz is a longtime collaborator of mine called Lazy H, and his tagline is synth wizard and trombone daddy. But yeah, so I'm in an experimental trio with Lazy H and a friend, Sam Bedell, and we're called the Lazy H Trio / Loose Cables. And we did a gig with another London sax player called Jake Burgess. Oh, Mark Cake is his stage name, sorry. And he's got like some wild sax set up with loops and loads of effects and stuff. And we were just talking how we could kind of do something together. And it was Mark Cake's idea to put this thing on. So then we invite sometimes producers we know, they bring their laptops, but generally we like to keep it to analog gear so people can bring their drum machines or other synthesizers. We had there's an amazing singer in London called Plum with 2 M's, and she does a whole looping set. And we basically do like a stream of consciousness jam for a few hours. It's a little bit of a nerdy thing, to be honest. Like if you're really into jazz, electronic, and live stuff. But so we took a little break this year, and then we've actually booked a couple of gigs in autumn now because there's some touring musicians. I think they might be from the States or from the other side of the pond somewhere doing a few gigs here. So we're going to invite them down to headline, and then we all have a jam together. So yeah, that's really cool, and it really kind of broadens my palette as well with kind of what you can do live electronically. Sure. Yeah, it's super cool. It's quite a DIY thing, but we get some really great musicians down. It's good.
So you're a you play all these instruments. You just put out side A of your album. I'm curious, when it comes to a live performance of the stuff that you put out, are you like, how do you handle this as far as, since you are writing and doing kind of everything as far as forming a live band? Like what would we expect to see, Luke Marzec on stage? What are you playing? And like, do you form a band? Like, here's my stuff. Like, okay, you guys got to pick this up, or what do you expect?
So the live band is just being rehearsed now. And, a couple of years ago, I was only just getting back into music because I took a bit of a break. I made this album, it's coming out now, and then I'm like, I need to get a band together. So I've got a rhythm section, which is just bass and drums, and they're just going to be holding down the main grooves of these songs. And right now I'm just rehearsing. It's going to be a little bit stripped back, but I'm going to have a synth in one hand, a keyboard in the other. I might do some loops, and I've got a couple of effects units. So it will probably be, its core will be able to function without the horns, but at some gigs we'll just bring some guys in to do the horn stuff. But yeah, it's going to be stripped back, and it will still have the keys and the synth and the voice, and but it's quite expensive to have a huge band touring with you. So sure. It's been quite really quite cool to reinterpret the songs somewhat, and like some of the intros, there'll be like big intros and interlude sections where I can kind of flex out on some of my arpeggiating synths and some of my samplers and stuff, and then we'll just snap into the songs and kind of play the song relatively like you hear on the record. But I mean, it's great. I mean, David Beauchamp is a New Yorker. He played the record on the drums. But I've met a bassist local to me in Devon recently, and he is just so much better at me at the bass. So actually, I think the live performance is going to be so much more groovy than the record, which really super excited about. It's really cool. There's some really cool bands in the UK. There's a rocksteady band called Count Bobo, and these guys record like old jazzy ska, rocksteady reggae stuff in the old style. It sounds really vintage. I think they record it to tape, and so Leon is the guitarist in that band, and he's playing bass in this one. But yeah, I'm in really good hands with the rhythm section of my band.
That's cool.
And it's just, we've got like a few dates that are floating around for late May, early June. And I'm just going to do a couple gigs in the summer. Nothing too crazy. Just sell some records, showcase the band. And then in the autumn, we're going to get going with some more gigs. But yeah, just I'm just trying to like be aware of every good step I'm taking. And you'd love to do like a whole tour or whatever, but the fact that I'm rehearsing a band and the fact that we'll do 2 gigs this summer for me is like real good step in the right direction.
Sure.
That's awesome. Now, for what I understand, you split up your album just for people to kind of comprehend all the emotions with the songs. I'm kind of curious how you came to that conclusion, and also how you figure out which song should be like in the intro A and which one should come out in the B?
Yeah, well, I was just choosing the track listing for the vinyl. It's getting pressed to vinyl, so you've got like an opener and a closer on each side. The opener is "I Can't Get You Out of My Mind," which you may have heard.
That was the one that was on my on my playlist before I got the email about you. So.
Oh, really? You found that one? Nice. Yeah, that sounds like a starter to me. It starts with all these really cool intro, and then it snaps into the song, and that had to be at the start. The end of side A is the opposite. It's like a acoustic song. And then the second half of the record is really quite upbeat, big sound. But I think I wanted to start with some of the more tender songs. I mean, apart from the first one, the other ones are quite a bit more stripped back. So I wanted to put those out first because I think they showed a more maybe laid back, tender side of me. And then it's timing well now because the second half's coming out when the weather's good, the summer's kicking in. So I have that bigger sounds to come out.
So I got to ask you about during COVID and this boat living situation that I read about.
Yeah.
What give us a little insight into that? So was this just a way to escape everything that was going on, and you just decided I'm going to live on a boat and write music? Was this just like I don't got anything else going on? Let's get on the boat. I got to hear about this.
So I'm not sure if have you been to London before?
I have. I did a semester in London when I was a young lad.
Oh, nice. That's cool. So did you ever see any of the waterways, like the canals and stuff in the city?
Yep.
Yeah. So you have these narrow boats, these long boats, which are sometimes old converted barges. Some of them are made purpose made, and I guess for a lot of Londoners, it's an alternative to bricks and mortar because it's pretty expensive living. So a good friend of mine got a bit of inheritance and without really thinking, just bought one of these boats. And then he got a job abroad a couple of years later and without thinking was about to move to Africa and realized he
had a boat.
He still had a boat. So he really... Fortunately for me, he sold it to me on credit. I spent a couple of years in London there. But I think boating really comes into itself in the countryside. Like, it's off-grid living. All your utilities need to be sorted by you. You need to, every week or two, drive the boat to the nearest tap, fill up the water. You need to get a wheelbarrow and get all your coal delivered to the nearest road. So I don't have radiators. It's all like a coal fire to keep you warm, solar powered. But in COVID, I left the city with a friend on his narrow boat, and that was just the start of a whole new thing for me. I kind of grew up in a kind of rural area, but taking the boat to the middle of nowhere, not having a job, it was great. You know, you spend your day chopping wood and you go for a walk, you can have a swim, take your canoe out. It was real dreamy, like off-grid living. The first thing I got onto the boat was the piano. I think I had a piano on the mattress at first whilst I did it all up and we painted and we built bits inside. But yeah, it's great. There's like a whole different pace of life. Ultimately, it wasn't something I could do forever because it takes up too much of your time. It is like your hobby and your life and your lifestyle. If you don't keep up on top of all of those errands, like you can, you've got to like change the oil in the old engine. The engine's like 80 years old or something. I mean,
don't they say those are the two best days in a man's life? The day he buys a boat and the day he sells it.
It was exactly like that, man. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it.
I'm gonna sell you the boat, but you're gotta help me get this piano off the boat.
I know.
This is the most difficult thing. I don't know why we got a grand piano on this boat, but it just worked.
Yeah. Oh no, I've got good friends. They always give me a hand. So it was really easy getting it on the boat, but getting it out was a bloody nightmare. And one of my friends is a rugby player, and so at one point he was carrying all the weight of the piano whilst half of it was on a step, and we just had to like get a good grip on it. It was a really tight space, and two of us were spending like 5 minutes trying to get a good grip whilst he was just patiently waiting with half the weight on him. But yeah, it's always good fun. I think some men like the idea of we've got to move this really heavy thing from A to B, and afterwards we'll pat each other on the back and I'll buy you a couple of beers. So I love carrying heavy things. I like doing labor sometimes. I need to pick up bits of work here and there. I'm just doing a bit of landscaping at the moment, and it feels good shoveling rocks and moving wheelbarrows around for a week or two. You get really fit. I'm pretty simple as it comes. I like to just think about carrying things now and again.
Now, I was listening to a few of your songs, and you just got such a unique sound with your music and your singing. I'm kind of curious, and all you seem to. It seems like you like experimenting with like a lot of stuff. I'm kind of curious if that's true, and if you ever like almost gone like too far where you're like, yeah, let me try this out, and then in the end, it's just like, okay, I got to wheel this back. Now it's too weird.
I think I do my experimenting like off record. I just like to get to know my instruments and, get to see what they can do. But when I'm crafting a song, like some people I know like to just throw loads of paint at the wall or loads of sounds into the mix and then do what is called a subtractive mix, where you then just try and see the wood for the trees and put it all back. But I find that really confusing. So, and I like space a lot. So I'm always trying to just find what is almost the least thing that I can add to have the biggest impact. Otherwise, I can get quite lost in it. And people can get so lost in all of that stuff. I'm like, I've got a chord progression. I've got a bass line. Now I need like one or two more layers and that's it. Some of my favorite songs are where there's just 3 or 4 layers, and that's really all you need. So I think the experimenting I do is when I'm like right now I'm for the live set, I'm having to really get to know all these instruments much better because you have to do it live. So most of my practice is just improvising until then I actually rehearse the songs. But I'm a more of a less is more guy. The guy, the synth wizard, my friend, he has a much more maximal thing. He likes to throw everything at it, and he's got a really big, crazy, interesting sound at times. And so working with him was really cool to kind of switch it up for me a bit. But ultimately, I do quite like it spacious and relatively minimal. Although some of the songs on this album are quite full. But again, it's all quite simple stuff. It's quite, it's simple. It's, an arpeggiator can complement a nice R&B thing. You don't have to do much to take it outside of that vintage world. You can just add 1 or 2 elements, and it can feel a bit fresher.
Luke, I want to thank you for giving us a few minutes. I know there was a little confusion there, but thank you for coming on, man. You have a fan over here in America.
Oh, nice, man.
I've been really, it's kind of been on repeat.
Make it 2, Scott.
Make it 2. We'll let Mike be a fan. We'll let him in the club too. But
yay!
Yes, Mike.
I'm a part of the team.
Tell us what's coming up here. We got part A of Something Good Out of Nothing came out with the 4 songs. What's on the horizon for Luke? When are we touring? When are we getting out? What's coming up here?
Yeah, so right now, as I said, end of May, start of June, there's going to be just a couple local gigs. Get all my friends down and all the people I know, maybe even some fans. and just want to get the band together to that. And I'll be really happy if I can start the summer of having done a couple full shows. Then the guys in my band are going on tour for a bit with some other projects they're on. So I'm working on my solo set as well, which is going to be giving much more of a sound, using a few instruments at the same time. But yeah, I've got like at the start of May, I've got my next single. I've got a couple singles, and anyone listening to this will be able to put a pre-order in for my vinyls because they're just being pressed right now. So I'll have the album launch, sell the vinyls, and do a few gigs, and I'm going to be happy with that. And then in autumn, we'll do a few more shows.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's where it is right now. I've got like a couple other projects on the way. I'm going to do I'm working on a solo album just on the piano, which will just be live performances of maybe a couple of these songs that you've already heard, just like piano versions, and then some songs that I have just written for piano.
Very cool.
And I am also getting a jazz. I want to do an album reimagining some of these old songs, like some of the old Ray Charles songs that I like, and stuff of that era. Some Chet Baker, some Nina, and I thought it's the music I love. My voice suits it. And we haven't had a Jamie Cullum or a new Bublé for a while. So I want to give that a go as well. So, a few things. So I'm just trying to keep... I don't want to have to rush my next album too fast. So I'm going to do the solo album, the jazz album in between, keep things ticking over. And then, autumn, I'll be gigging more. And the main thing is for next summer to be doing lots of festivals. But, most people release their, I'm just backing. I'm really slow beginnings right now.
Yep.
I've had a little break, so slow beginnings. But then, just keep slowly ramping up.
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things going on, and I was checking out stuff on your Instagram. One thing I did notice as I scrolled down, there's a table with the egg game with a bunch of eggs on a table. And I don't think I've ever seen this before. What exactly is the egg game?
The egg game, okay. Well, you've heard it like one of the first here. I've not patented it, but okay. So there's a few different, like dominoes and cards. Yeah. It's like a medium on which you can play lots of different games.
Okay.
So in many ways, it's just counters on a board, but they're eggs, which makes it much cooler, right?
Much more expensive in this country. I digress.
So no, I was hanging out with some friends, and a friend said, "Do you remember your egg game from years ago?" And I completely forgotten about it, but we used to get stoned a lot, and I had like a big tray of eggs in front of me, and I started rearranging them to make shapes, to make visually satisfying shapes, sometimes shapes that would have symmetry in them or whatever. And my friend Zara sat across from me, and I said, "Play me." And she was like, "Well, what do I do?" I was like, "You'll work it out." And then I move 2 eggs and it changes the shape, and she moves 2 eggs and it changes the shape. You can bring eggs on the board, or you can you can take them off the board or put them on the board. And you make shapes, right? This is classic eggs. There's a few different games, but classic eggs is just like it's like on a coffee table, yeah? You just got this nice wooden board with these nice handmade eggs, right? And you can leave a message for someone. It can just be what you think, what looks nice, right? And you have to be of a slightly stoned temperament for this to make sense.
I'm just picturing like the synthesizers going on in your house and you playing with eggs. And,
I mean, the musicians I play with like to have it in the studio because someone will leave, a kind of picture, a pattern, and you'll be surprised if you just move one egg or two, it can completely change the balance. Anyway, so I was telling my stepbrother about this, and he's like an economist, and well, actually, he studied in maths and economics and stuff and game theory, and he was like, "Who wins?" And I was like, "It's not that kind of game. It's you get to a cadence, right? Someone will make a move after a while, and you'll both just look at it and be like, 'Nice move, man,' and then you just leave it there." But I've also made some competitive games and some exercises, right? So morning exercises, and it took quite a long time to make this, but you draw a pattern. You have so it's a 6x6 grid, and there's a line of symmetry down. It's kind of like a grid. So there's 2 lines of symmetry across the horizontals and vertical, and 2 lines across the 45 degrees. Anyway, you show the pattern on one side and the given line of symmetry, and you give a path for the course. And by jumping over or moving one egg at a time, you need to be able to move the pattern from one side to the other side of the board. And it's a bit of like a visual tongue twister. So it's just a little hobby of mine. Yeah, it's literally it's gonna be huge, but I just don't have enough time to do all of it. So maybe next Easter I'm gonna launch it.
Yeah, Luke, by the next time you come on the show, we're expecting a couple albums, the official Luke Marzec egg game out there on the market, and you to come do some shows out here in the United States so we can
absolutely
we can come check out your stuff. Thanks you so much, Luke, for giving us your time. Good luck with the albums. Good luck with the egg game. Good luck with the tours, the gigs, and we appreciate your time, man.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me. It's great to meet you.
Let's do mine.
Mike, Luke Marzec, who knew the egg game, the egg game question would spawn such a primal reaction from him?
Yeah, there's times in life where you bring up something and you figure, all right, you're going to get a cute little ha 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 or one sentence explanation. Mm-hmm. I had no idea we had to stay on for an extra 10 minutes to hear about the egg game and all, which was fascinating. I'm almost tempted when you come down to my household and all. I'll keep the eggs in Cali, and then I'll make sure they're fresh. So when you come in, it's like, all right, bro. And you just walk in, you just see some eggs in a circle. It's like, it's go time.
What'd you guys do last night? Well, I kept eggs inside my dog, and I removed them and played a game with them with my friend all night. It was quite interesting. But yeah, Luke, could you live on a boat? Do you think you could do time spending on a boat? And how long you think you can do?
I think that kind of boat, like a boat house, I could probably do no issue. I guess the biggest question mark is where we're at. Because if it's like hurricane season every spring, then hell no, I'm not doing that.
I lost my fridge into the ocean.
You just find out I drowned at the bottom and I'm trying to lift my dog out of the ocean that happens to be a freaking Frigidaire.
Yeah. There's something exotic that sounds like I would love to do that for like a year. Go live in another country on like a boat or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I could be like our former guest Sailing Totem, who just like live on a boat and travel the world year round. I think that would get off probably a good 2-3 months in.
It's interesting. I have a boss when I used to work at the TV station for a long time, and he was really big into sailing, like big ship sailing, not like a little like Sunfish or whatever, like where it takes like a crew kind of to sail a boat. And he took me out once, and it was a really cool experience. Like, it's amazing how much goes into that. And he always said, like, when I retire, me and my wife are going to get on the sailboat and just travel the world. And I'm like, yeah, sure. People say all sorts of things. When I'm done, when I retire. Sure enough, he retired about, I would say maybe 2 years ago. all he posts on Facebook, he's like, me and Wendy sailed down to Bermuda. We ported here. We came across a storm. He's scuba diving. He's like drinking and eating with like native people and different, like, give the guy so much credit because it's pretty damn cool to see someone like follow through with what they say. Like,
knowing me,
like that song you had for episode 500, like when you were like, yeah, we're gonna nail this for 500, and you're like, well,
yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
1,000. 1,000.
Yeah. Knowing me, like, I would have that plan and just go to the wrong countries, and it's just like, Scott, I'm in Cuba again. I think I'm under arrest.
Locked up abroad.
Yeah, I was going for Hawaii. I'm at Guantanamo Bay. That ain't good.
But yeah, it's pretty cool to see. But yeah, I really do have high hopes for Luke. So he's got a very I messaged you while we were talking. He's like a musical Jack Sparrow. He was like kind of swaying through the whole interview, and he kind of reminded me of like an English pirate.
Maybe he was still on the boat. That's why. It was just the waves.
Maybe we had 2 pirate musicians in a row on the show that we didn't know about.
Is that bellows in the background? What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys caught it last week, but we interviewed this guy Bjorn from Ye Banished Privateers. They're a pirate band, and what's really funny is me and Mike were supposed to interview. They were like, "Oh, you're interviewing Magpie," and she's like this good-looking, I guess Swedish or Norwegian woman, and I'm like, oh, and then we get on the cast, and it's just like some bearded guy, and like before that, they said they were being like character and stuff, so we kind of had like a thought of the way the interview was going to go, and then got immediately like, oh, okay, we're just going to do like an interview with this guy, and we didn't even know who he was at first. So
yeah, a cute fact and all. I didn't bring it up last week when he came on, and I was sending you notes and saying this ain't the person we were supposed to interview. I forgot to switch it from everyone to just you, so he got that message as well.
Dude, that's my biggest fear. But sometimes, a little peek behind the curtain here, sometimes we're interviewing guests and, we like to make each other laugh or remind us of something. It's usually something that would probably only make us laugh. Or I'll be honest, if the guest is horrible, every once in a while, we'll be like, joking around about it. That's my biggest fear when I go to send you a message. I'm always like triple checking that it says directly to Mike and not to the whole group. But
yeah, so I didn't get too bad on there and all. But yeah, after I sent a couple messages, I'm like, I had to switch it over.
This is one ugly motherfucking pirate.
He's like, excuse me. I'm like, no, I'm talking about my house.
Yeah. Oh, did I told the story. Yeah, I told the story last week of the graphic. Yeah. So what do you got, Mike?
Well, Scott, again, as we are starting with our new group over in Australia, and all, I want them to be more involved. We'll talk about stuff that happens in Australia. And I want to teach you, because I'm not sure how much you really know about Australia. And like, you were shocked when I brought up they are a barge along with a country and a continent.
Yes.
Write that down here and all. But I wanted to give you some history with Australia. And I figure, like, with our country, some of the biggest parts of our history are the big wars we have fought in, from, the Revolutionary and both World Wars and Gulf War, all that fun stuff. Do you know about the Emu War of 1932?
The Emu War?
Yes, of 1932.
Yeah, that was when the native Australians, who I believe many of them were, prisoners and outcasts and things like that, they had to fight in Sydney against a band of emus who had taken over the city. And it was a bloody war, but eventually man won over bird, from what I understand.
Oddly, as you made up that little improv riff, we're not entirely off.
Wow. Okay.
This is actually a war between Australians and giant birds. So,
okay.
So let's go back to World War One, and we're in Western Australia. All the vets who fought in World War One, as a reward, they gave them a bunch of farmland, the country, to grow agriculture and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, around this time is the Great Depression. So they go to these farmers and they say, hey, we got to grow more wheat because everything's so expensive. You grow more wheat than we expect. It's going to make it a lot cheaper and, save the country. So these farmers do that, but they have to hold on to their wheat because the government promised them subsidiaries and stuff like that, and they weren't delivering. But here's a little problem here.
First off, I just want to say you delivered the word subsidiary perfectly. That if there was a game of will Mike mispronounce it, that'd be high on the list.
Okay, well, thank you. So, as we brought up, the emu, which is the national bird of Australia, generally goes to the coastlines after their mating season.
Well,
one little issue though is as they're going from the inland to go to the coast, they notice all these farmlands and all these crops and the easy water to get to. So they decide to stay and eat and spoil all the crops for the farmers.
Okay.
So the farmers, you figure, okay, they're going to go to like the head of the agriculture of the country and help them out. No, they go to the head of the military to go to this problem.
Yeah.
And their solution was to borrow some machine guns from the army and go after these birds. So it's basically the leader of the military and these two people with machine guns against these birds. So the first day, they see about 50 emus and they start shooting. Now, to their dismay, instead of all fleeing in one group of birds, they all split up in smaller groups and run in different directions.
Smart.
So these military people could only kill 10 of these emus right off the bat. So, the military people being as smart as they are, they're like, all right, we're too far away. And, they figured this out. So we're going to sneak up on these birds and we're going to shoot them close range.
Okay.
But the second day comes and they creep up on a group of 1,000 emus at a dam and they open fire. But
damn, that's a lot of emus.
Yeah. There's one little problem. Their guns jam and they only kill about 12 emus. So we got these two military people need to take care of about 20,000 emus.
And only 22 dead.
They only got 22 down so far right now. Now, in the coming days, the military starts to note that not only they got a problem with the emus, but these emu packs apparently have leaders. A big black plumed bird, which stands about 1.8 meters, about 6 feet, and keeps watch while his mates carry out the work of destruction and warn the other emus when they're approaching. So now they're smart enough to know that the military's coming, and they have a leader to say, let's flee together. So this is all going. So they went so far to mount one of their guns on the truck. And they wanted to just put a gun on the truck, figuring they could catch up to the emus and shoot the emus from the truck. The little problem is it's proved to be ineffective as the truck wasn't able to catch the birds. And the ride was so rough that the gunner was unable to fire any shots, and all he was flaring in the back of the truck. So after about a week, they wasted about 2,500 rounds of ammunition and only killed anywhere from 50 to 500 of these emus. It was so bad that they were comparing the emus to the Zulu warriors for their ability to flee from bullets. Some of them have bullets in their system. They were still able to run full speed in their system, and they were saying they were using guerrilla warfare as they were able to figure out to break up into smaller groups. And while they were doing it, they were recording this for the press, figuring they had this like big propaganda film to show to the country.
So there's footage of this somewhere?
I don't know where the footage is. I couldn't find it, but apparently it was recorded. But the press was so bad that they had to shut down the operation. So the First World War against emus, they lost. Now, a few weeks go by, and the farmers have to go back to the government. They're like, listen, these damn emus are still here ruining my crops and all. So they say, all right, we're going to have a second go, and we're going to give the Australian military credit. They start killing some birds. And they in about a month's time frame, they killed about 1,000 emus. Now, the only problem is they've shot off almost 10,000 rounds of ammunition. So the cost of trying to kill these birds are outweighing the destruction that the emus are doing. So even though they're winning the battle, they're losing the war against the emus. It got so bad at the end, they had to give up on this war. Now, the farmers in the region on 3 different years went back to the government begging them to bring back the military to shoot machine guns at these birds, but they wouldn't do it. But you know what was the effective way of getting rid of these birds? They just put bounties on their heads. They literally put a bounty. You kill an emu, we're going to give you this amount of money. And then just these people on their own are shooting it and all that with the warrant on their head. 57,000 emus were killed by random people just trying to get an extra buck. And it turns out all they had to do was change their fencing to stop these emus in the end.
That's such a better plot line than the Boba Fett series. That thing was terrible.
That'd be wonderful. Space emus attack Boba Fett.
Space emus. Now, you're a connoisseur of animal voices. I'm just curious what you think an emo would sound like.
Well, I'm not personal with the emu, so I wouldn't know. I will tell you, when I was younger, and
here we go. My grandma had an emu. She brought over for Thanksgiving.
No. We didn't. Now my dad used to take. I loved going to Six Flags Great Adventure, the amusement park.
Sure.
And I think it changed. It used to be you could drive your car through. They had a side safari. Now I think they do buses there. I haven't been there, and God knows when.
I just remember hearing all the horror stories about monkeys ripping antennas off. Yeah.
Oh, I would love it. Like it never happened to my dad's car, but there was nothing funnier than watching a monkey on a car in front of us just start tear off the sides of a car. That breaking it, radio antennas. That was the best.
Jim Brewer had one of the best bits ever about it was like an ostrich, or it might have even been an emu, about like they opened the window by mistake, and the head was coming into the thing and trying to eat from them. Then his daughter was like, "Oh my god!" Like to eat. Like he's got such a good bit years and years ago about something like this.
Well, that's kind of my memory. Like we didn't have the windows up, but I would love when we go through and like the emus would be there, and I would flick the window of the car. And I would love like the emus would just keep pecking at the window, and I was almost like mocking them as they couldn't get to me as I was flicking the window, pissing off these emus. And I feel that was the problem, the Australians and all. If they just had some glass and started flicking them, they could have attracted all 20,000 emus and killed them all in one swoop.
Well, I mean, it does sound like one of the most Australian things. Like I feel like that should be like a tourist attraction, like go kill an emu, ride on the back of the truck with a machine gun. I feel like that is the norm over there. I'm not sure, Australian audience, please tell us if we're wrong, but sign us up if we can come on over there for the emu slaughter.
If you people will fly us out to get in the truck bed with a machine gun and shoot at emus, we promise Verbal Shenanigans will come to Australia. But that's the only condition.
No, here's what's going to happen. We're going to go to kill the emu, and you're going to be like, "Hey, buddy," and then the emu's gonna be like, "Hi, I'm Elmo Emu," and you're gonna be like, "He's so
I'm Merrick the Emu. Don't kill me, Bernu."
Then he's gonna die, and you're gonna name your toaster oven after him. Like it's gonna be.
I mean, barely knew him, Scott. I don't think he's worthy of an appliance yet.
Well, that is quite Australian. I'm glad we are now part of that. Awful ideas in Australia category here. Mike, you're a big fan of racing, right?
Yes, sir. NASCAR all the way.
NASCAR all the way. I'm curious if your fandom could ever match other races in the world.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious what you think of a couple of these, and then I want to drop a race that recently happened over the weekend that I wonder if you would get into. But let's just go through a few of them here.
All right.
Mike, have you ever heard of the OMAC suicide race?
I don't believe I've knowledge of that, Scott.
So this is in Omak, Wisconsin. It's cute. You thought you were tough that time. You stayed on the mechanical bull for like a whole 2 minutes. You know what might make you a little tougher? Racing on a horse down a 225-foot cliff, then across a river, which is what they do every year as part of the Omak Stampede Rodeo in Central Washington. It's based on old Native American endurance races where there's a non-zero chance were conducted under the influence of peyote. So, Mike, are you down to race a horse down a 225-foot cliff, or would you be able to watch that?
Well, I mean, if I have like drugs in my system like the Indians did, I will definitely participate. I mean, I might not even have a horse, and I might be pushing horses out of my way, and I'll try to outrun them during that time frame.
Gotcha. What about cane toad racing? Are you into this? In Australia, by the way, Port Douglas, Australia. You know how you know it's 8 p.m. in Port Douglas? Well, sure, you could look at your phone, or you could find yourself in the Iron Bar, standing around a table full of cane toads and people blowing party horns at them. Because every night at 8 p.m., bar patrons pick a toad, kiss it, put it in the middle of the table, and blow the horn to encourage that toad to be the first to jump off the table. Mike, are you into this kind of racing?
I'm wondering if I could just like parlay the emu thing and then shoot the toads. Like just come into the bar with a machine gun and try to shoot the toad and see if it jumps or not.
Yeah, and then you're the number one terrorist because you killed everybody besides the toads. But
I'll work on my aim before I get there.
We talked about this one before. Cheese rolling, Mike. In the UK. I wonder if Luke Marzec has ever participated in cheese rolling. What moves
all
fast?
about eggs.
A man or a 9-pound ball of cheese. The people of Gloucester, I don't know how you say it, hold an annual cheese rolling race on the Spring Bake holiday. Atop the hill, locals line up with a 9-pound round of stuff, give it a 1-second head start, and chase it down a hill. The cheese can allegedly reach speeds of 70 miles an hour. Mike, could you catch the cheese?
I don't think I would catch the cheese, but I could totally see myself attempting it, because I've seen videos and seen everybody toppling over and on. That just looks like a fun old time right there. No, I feel I would try to figure out a way to cheat during it.
Okay.
I will say that.
Here is your neighbors, North Carolina, close to your neighbors, the Krispy Kreme Challenge. You got to love the South, where people somehow find a way to make a 5-mile road race a completely gluttonous experience. Every year, competitors run a 2.5-mile course through downtown Raleigh to a designated spot. Instead of Gatorade or water or power gels, they down a dozen donuts, then run back. If you throw up, you are disqualified. You think you have a chance in this one?
I'm not a big Krispy Kreme person, to be honest with you. And I've seen how the people do like the whole take all 12, shove it into one solid mass and shove it down your gullet and all. I think I could at least get that parts done, but I would probably say that that'd be kind of boring to watch at the very least. If you ain't out there chewing down on the Krispies, I don't know who gets entertainment from watching it all. Okay. I guess these kids with their TikToks like watching people eat food nowadays, so maybe that's their thing.
Well, here's a more modern one that you might be into before we get to the one I want to ask you about. Robot camel racing in Dubai. Edgar Prado and Rosemary Homeister Jr. better hope thoroughbred owners don't start getting any ideas from Dubai, where they've taken the majestic sport of racing camels through the desert and replaced the human riders with robots. Originally done to stop the exploitation of children as camel jockeys in the early 2000s, wealthy camel owners also realized these saddle drones don't take a cut of the winnings, can't throw races, and don't develop drinking problems. Mike, are you into robot camel racing?
Yeah, but I'm old school. I want the kids back on top of that camel.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, Shay's at the perfect age right now. Have you been training with them and all? Have you been sitting on like a wobbly hill and just
what I've been doing is I put a little hump on my dog's back, and then I strap Shay to the dog and let him teeter around the house and see if he can stay on.
Yeah, and then you punish him if he doesn't last, right? Because
exactly.
that's a good fathering thing to do and all. If your kid can stay on a camel, he can't have an Xbox. That's what
very physical punishments too. Very physical.
Yeah.
Mike, here's the thing I wanted to see if you can get into. Okay. Just this last weekend, Mike, do you think you could ever be a fan of sperm racing?
I do it every night.
Oh. Goodbye, Australia. It was nice.
I win again.
Oh, I did spermies.
Scott, I can't make a voice for every sperm that comes out, man. Come on.
So sperm racing. Okay, this took place on April 20th. Is sperm racing the next big thing? Well, it might not become an Olympic sport, but it certainly created quite the buzz. The so-called world's first sperm race was held in downtown Los Angeles on Friday, drawing a rather large crowd. But how did it start? Well, this is where Eric Zhu comes in. With the help of wealthy investors, the 17-year-old student and entrepreneur from the Bay Area launched the competition to raise awareness of men's health and male fertility. The general public doesn't talk about it because it's so taboo. It's always been associated with adult entertainment or something that's degenerate. What we want to do is make it more of a sport, a different type of entertainment, but more of like optimizing biomarkers. So how did the race work, Mike? Friday's contenders, who were handpicked out of dozens of young men, were given money each week to train their mind, bodies, and diets. One race included a young man from USC going against a student from UCLA. The group has what is called a sperm racing professional sperm analysis kit, which measures concentration, motility.
There's sperm kisses? What?
Sperm kits.
Oh, okay.
Not sperm kisses. That's what happens in the Burlow house. Which measures concentration, motility, progressive motility, modal sperm concentration, and progressive modal sperm concentration. That's a lot of stuff there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then, the group built a microscopic racetrack that mimics the reproductive system, which includes chemical signals, fluid dynamics, and synchronized starts. Then high-resolution cameras track every microscopic move. The entire thing is streamed, complete with stats, leaderboards, and instant replays. The sperm that crosses the finish line first wins the race. In case you're wondering, Mike, the kid from USC won the race. Mike, could you get into sperm racing?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the people who spent their life building the track for the sperm, where I just sit back and wonder what they did in their lives where that was the best option in this world. And
I saw a video of it, and there is like a giant screen, and you see like 4 sperm, like, I don't know what you call it, swimming down this little tube, and people are like cheering and chanting.
They keep on saying, "Come on!"
Yeah, I don't know if they had like their favorite sperm donor. Like maybe this is a thing where like every week some kid is like the champion and he just cannot be beat.
I can't wait till they start doing drug testing on this sperm. And it's just like, oh, that USC guy, he was my hero. And then found out, no, he put the roids in his sperm. He just literally just dropped a couple drops in with my sperm. And, I was wondering, it looked like a freaking frog as it was hopping down the aisle.
So, NASCAR is always having a little trouble getting newer generations into this. Do you think we could ever see a day where sperm racing and NASCAR are maybe on the same network even, or maybe they're competition?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a beautiful thing until the day that we get the Dale Earnhardt Sr. sperm that crashes into the wall and dies on us. So.
But just think, everybody who watches it has won a sperm race in their life before. You are a former winner of a sperm race, Mike.
Hands on, yeah.
Now, if you were going to compete in this competition, you had a month to get ready for said sperm race. How are you mentally preparing? How are you changing your diet? What are you doing?
I guess one question I'm a little confused on. So, like, do they provide the sperm and they put it on the track and it goes, or is the art of creating it a part of the race?
No, I believe they get the sperm. And then they put it into like a test tube almost, or like a syringe, and then they shoot them all at the same time.
Okay. Well, yeah, I feel like I I would want my sperm to be elusive, so I will be jiggling my hips a lot for like the first couple months and all, getting them ready and all, while they're still in the tank and all. I want them to understand they got to be elusive and all. It could be a road course and all. It might not be a straight line sperm shoot.
So you're just shaking your hips for like a month straight.
Oh, absolutely. There is no stopping and all. In fact, I feel like I should like sleep on one of them like paint mixers to ensure that my pelvis does not stop gyrating for that full month and all. I do not want my sperm to take some time off and be weak in competition.
All right. So hip gyration, step 1. Okay. What else is going on in the month to get ready for the big release?
Well, I feel like I want gravity to be working at best for me. So I'd probably be sleeping with my back to the wall, just like in a handstand kind of thing. So
sleeping in a handstand position.
Yes. That way, when I'm right side up, like I just figured the G-force of being in that direction will just push the sperm further and have natural speed for my babies going through.
Wow, you are a strong guy to sleep, in handstand position all night.
Well, I'll have like a special harness installed because I figure being like the sperm champion, I've had like plenty of sponsorship and I'm in my mansion and I got my number retired in certain sperm banks, a good acknowledgement of the work I've done in the sperm community.
Mikey D, sperm champion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your new title. Now, of course, it comes to no surprise to anyone who's listened to us that you obviously think your sperm would be the best of all of them.
Oh, it'd be Rocket McQueen coming out of there.
Who the hell is Rocket McQueen?
Isn't that the Cars character?
No, that's Lightning McQueen.
well, I can't use that, so now I'm Rocket McQueen. Oh, Rocket McQueen sperm.
Oh, well, we may have found part
I don't want to get sued by Disney while I'm the sperm champion, Scott. I don't want them to take my money.
We may have found part of the name of this episode. Rocket McQueen sperm. All right.
Lord.
Tip for anyone preparing. You're shaking constantly, gyrating constantly.
Correct.
Okay. 2, you're sleeping with your legs up in handstand position in a special harness. Okay. Yep. Give us one more thing that you think would help guarantee victory.
Well, I want my sperms to be ready at a moment's notice. So I'm gonna put coffee grinds into the opening to make sure that it goes into my sperm and it keeps them wide awake for any moment.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're just always keeping the nether regions awake.
Yeah. I want like my urethra filled with coffee at every moment whatsoever.
Ew.
Like when I go to Starbucks, I'm like, no, I don't need a stir. You know where this is going.
That is maybe the grossest sentence I've heard you say in 10 years. I need my urethra filled with coffee.
Well, I'm a champion, for God's sakes. I'm a seasoned athlete that knows what I need to do. I'm not taking illegal drugs for my sperm races. Coffee is perfectly fine. Caffeine is fine.
I like that you also, there's been one sperm race and you're big in the sperm community, apparently.
Hey, I mean, the up-and-comer. What can I tell you?
Up-and-comer. Wow. Okay. All right, Rocket McQueen. I think... we're gonna have to get one of these sperm racers on the show. That's got to happen.
Yeah,
and
I want to interview them during the race. Like I want to know what they're going through. Is the ups and downs of the. Does he have like a crew chief with him at all times and all? To make sure?
I think during the race you're probably more. It's like watching your apprentice do the work because you're not really doing anything. You're just presenting your product. It's like training a fighter. The day of the fight, the fighter's alone in the cage. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think it's more of that relationship with your sperm.
So it's kind of like when Deion Sanders was let down by his sperm in the 5th round.
Exactly. Yeah. We've learned a lot again today. We've learned that Mike talks to his refrigerator, pets his refrigerator on the belly. We learned all about Luke Marzec and the egg game. Okay. We learned about emus attacking Australia. Okay.
And they lost.
We learned that Mike is apparently world-class in everything, including his work in the sperm community. Good old Rocket McQueen, my co-host.
Yep. I got my coffee urethra pills right on my website. And also you can train like a champion like me.
Well, Mike, anything to promote before we roll on out of here?
Other than the coffee urethra?
Oh, God, stop.
All right. I will promote the new podcast. It's Always Florida, hosted by Florida Man Game's own Pete Melfi. It's Always Florida is a weekly show where they tell the craziest stories that come from, you guessed it, Florida. You can check it out on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.
And I will just quickly promote, I'm going to promote us and our newsletter here. Once again, we started this a couple months. We did start a long time ago, but we never really followed through on it. Been trying my damn best to get it out weekly. All you need to do is just you could sign up on Substack directly or shoot us an email at verbalshenaniganspodcast@gmail.com. And we'll throw you into it every week. We kind of do a little reflection of the episode, tell a funny story, maybe post a few pictures, maybe present evidence that your co-host is a serial killer. Now, clearly nothing he said today made any of that seem like I was exaggerating at all. In fact, it just helped my argument. But that's it. You go to Substack, check out Verbal Shenanigans. I want to thank Luke Marzec for coming on the show. Great musician. Go check out his album. Go check out his stuff on Spotify. Guys, life is funny. Laugh at it. Keep the wind at your back.
Espresso P comes from me.